Please mute your mics if you are joining us as you enter to our virtual space. We have started recording and we're so glad that you are here. Thank you so much. Let us know if you're just jumping on, where you're from, who you are, school counselor, career development coordinator, special populations coordinator, or what is your role, and what district school are you representing, what region. Thank you for joining us on this morning. I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Amy, to get us started.
Thank you, Keisha. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the kickoff for the year of the school year 25-26 CT Lunch and Learn series. And a reminder, if you would please put your microphones on mute throughout the session. Welcome. I'm Amy Polancaster Schrader, Career Development Work-Based Learning Consultant, and you heard from Dr. Keisha Bryant. You'll hear some more from her as well, our DPI School Counseling Consultant and partner in this work. You are now joining and participating in this year's CT Lunch and Learn series. There are 6 of them throughout the year and monthly on Tuesdays from 10:30 to 11:30. You'll be able to earn 0.1 CEUs for every session that you are registered for, and you participate as a live participant for them. Thank you for joining us today. In each of these Lunch and Learn sessions, in addition to the 0.1 CEU that will be on your transcript, all sessions are recorded. So recording has begun, as Keisha has mentioned previously. They will be shared to school counselors and shared to CDCs and stored on the Career Development and Work-Based Learning Moodle. Today's session is CDP Kickoff Year 2, District Best Practices and Planning Year 2 of the CDP with CFNC and NCcareers. The plan is to hear some best practices from our partners, CFNC and NCcareers, district best practices and strategies for Year 2 from 2 districts, Pender and Newton Conover, then have panel questions, open up the mic and the chat for more questions, Q&A, and then wrap up the session and have a session feedback survey from you. So our panelists today, district representatives, we have again Newton Conover, we've got middle grade CDC Leanne Boggs, high school CDC Matt Wilkinson. Thank you both. And from Pender County, we have our CT director, Dominique Bates, middle grade CDC Michelle Simmons, and Christine Smith, middle grade school counselor. Thank you all as well. Very happy to have our folks in the field who are working with this. And then our partners, our community partners, NC Commerce, Jamie Vaughn, manager of NCcareers, and Dr. Hollingsworth Pierce, community client service manager from CFNC Pathways with the UNC system. Thank you all for joining us today and taking the time to prepare and participate. Again, if we could make sure our mics are muted throughout the sessions, that would be wonderful. So we're going to kick off right away with CFNC and NCcareers. We have 2 questions for you. The first question is, what new or enhanced features on NCcareers and CFNC should educators and CT leaders be excited about this year?
All right. Hi, Amy. It's Jamie. I'm happy to start out on that, and then I'll definitely pass it over to Constance for some more information from her end. But again, we've been working really hard on NCcareers to continue to enhance the platform and the career development plan tool based on feedback specifically from educators, but of course all users are really important in terms of understanding that feedback. So the first feature that we definitely want to make people aware of, and this has been something we talked about for a little while, it actually launched late last school year. There is a NCcareers mobile app. So individuals who want to access it through their phone, of course we know a lot of students, maybe they don't have a laptop or something at home, so they can certainly access NCcareers through their mobile app. It's a guided experience again, and students or individuals are able to log in to the site either way, so it's the same login, so it'll communicate between the mobile app and the desktop version as well. So one thing I do want to make you aware of is the mobile app is available currently in the Apple Store. We are still awaiting approval from the Google Play Store. We've had the paperwork submitted, but we'll continue to communicate and let you know as soon as it's available in the Google Play Store. So iPhone users are able to access the NCcareers mobile app now. So that's obviously one exciting feature. Another exciting feature that we've added that is also live on the site right now, there was a lot of feedback, a lot of questions around from different users was, hey, I really want to get into this exploring a little bit quicker. Maybe I don't want to spend the 10 minutes or so taking some of the assessments. Is there a way that we could just quickly assess and have some students have individual students make choices to help filter down to a more curated list of occupations? The quick start is our solution to that right now. It allows students to choose their personality, the work values that are most important to them, the working conditions, the career clusters that are most important to them. And then it very quickly makes some recommendations. The way that we kind of, and again, it's called a quick start for a reason, because we're viewing it as a quick start to start exploring as to where the assessments, whether that's interest finder, career cluster match, some of the other assessments are scientifically validated. This is, again, more of a quick start tool. One of the ways that we're kind of encouraging folks to do this is use the quick start tool, look at some occupations, and then maybe go back and do the interest finder, see if your Holland codes match the occupations that you're looking at or the career clusters. So that could be a great way to, again, quickly learn about some occupations and then drill a little bit more into the true explore occupations. So moving forward, thinking about another feature that, again, is very highly anticipated, the course planner. This is, again, something that a lot of folks out there were asking for in terms of working around the career development plans. This tool will be live in the next couple of weeks. So we're excited to have this out here. So this is a tool where students can go in, select their individual high school, and then we are actually getting a download from Infinite Campus based on the courses. So in that download, we get school district, we get school, we get courses that are available. So when the student chooses their specific high school, it will then show the courses that are offered only at their high school. So it should be a much easier way to identify the courses that are available within their high school and create a 4-year plan, starting with freshman year all the way through high school. Again, this tool will be available in the next couple of weeks. At this point, we will clearly communicate as soon as this tool is available, and certainly look forward to additional feedback from there. A further enhancement, I'm sorry, if you could go back, sorry. A further enhancement of the course planner tool that will come later, probably in the second semester sometime, will be actually a recommendation engine based off of occupations that that a student or individual has chosen are their favorites. There will be stars that will show up on the cards that show if that particular course is a match in terms of helping the user develop the skills or career exploration, work-based learning kind of opportunities that will help them identify those courses and develop those skills moving forward. So we're really excited about that. And again, look for that. That will not come live in the next couple of weeks with the course planner. That will be an additional feature that we will add to enhance it sometime in the second semester. So again, really excited about this tool and the function from there. So the next one that we're looking at, again, and this again came from a lot of educators out of the career development plans, students going forward and doing their assessments, learning their Holland codes, learning their career clusters. And while now there is a way, obviously, to a way to kind of compare occupations within here. So this is maybe students are looking at and want to understand the difference between, they've got 3 or 4 that they're really interested in. So the compare occupations tool that will allow students or individuals to look at the different occupations side by side, up to 3 Or it could also allow you to look at one occupation across multiple geographies. So I've had questions on both of those sides. Hey, I don't know if I want to choose the nurse practitioner versus the registered nurse versus maybe a nurse anesthetist. What are the different options? And from there, and that's certainly a great way to look at that across one geography. But also, hey, I know I want to be a registered nurse, but I can live anywhere in North Carolina. Are there any particular regions or, where do nurses get paid the most on average looking forward? So again, that tool is going to be really valuable to help people understand that information. And then the next tool that's coming out, and again, sorry, I started talking about this at first and got confused myself. The ability to choose multiple assessments at once. So again, this came out of conversations and understanding of different users. They'd say, okay, so I know I can, if I do Interest Finder, I can identify and filter my Explore Occupations list based on Holland codes from there. But what if I want to do, also bring in my career cluster match and bring in my work values to understand a more curated list from there? Well, this tool will now allow you to choose multiple assessments. You've always been able to do it by using the filter section on the Explore Occupations of NCcareers, but this will be a much easier way in order to ultimately filter down those 823 different occupations that are listed in NCcareers to a more manageable number that do ultimately meet your interest and needs moving forward. And then the final piece that's coming in, and we received a lot of questions and comments and feedback around this. If you've those of you that may have used NCcareers last year for your career development plans in the first year, you remember that our recommendation was, in order to be able to pull reports out of Pro Tools, which is the reporting backend that Constance will provide some great updates and feedback in just a minute as well. We recommended everybody go ahead and have their students use the CFNC login in order to log in and create their career development plans, because there was not a connection between the NC Ed Cloud login and the CFNC login that would allow Pro Tools reporting for individuals that use the NC Ed Cloud login for their career development plan login features. We are in the middle of beta testing this right now and hope to have this live again in the next couple of weeks. We will communicate this out through our newsletters, through our social media channels. We'll leverage our partners at DPI as well to use the communication channels in which they have in order to share this information that it's live. So the way that this functionality will work is students will need to make sure that on their CFNC account, they will have to include their student ID number in their CFNC account. There is a space for a student ID number in that CFNC account. When that student ID number is included on their CFNC account, it'll allow the linkage between EdCloud and Pro Tools in order to be there. So students will be able to, and then it'll be a single sign-on feature. So whether the students log in using their CFNC or whether they use their NC Ed Cloud credentials, it will work both ways. They will have the same information available, again, as long as they have included their student ID on the CFNC account. And that linkage will happen in the background and be seamless moving forward. So hopefully there shouldn't be any challenges or disruptions moving forward on that. So let me go ahead and turn it over to Constance to talk a little bit more about Pro Tools.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you we are excited about that connection happening. And as we look at our reporting tools that you have been asking for, we wanted to focus on building that development plan. So I am happy to say, hot off the presses, this is our mock-up. We're working on it. We're working with Jamie to mimic what they have so that it's a seamless process for you guys. So we're hoping in the next couple of months that we will be able to roll this out, but you are the first to see our initial thoughts. So we're looking to build our development plans within Pro Tools. You want the reports, we want you to have the reports, and we're working on building those tools. So this first page you see would be on the individual level. You will be able to pull reports for your students individually. So if you need to print them to put them in their cumulative folders, you can do that as well. You can see that we added, you asked for that percentage. We don't have exactly what that looks like, but we're meeting with Jamie. We're in those conversations. We're pulling district leads to make sure that we have the information you need. Next slide, please. This is just a little clear. We started out with this one with our first one, and we are improving. So we want to make sure we have all the information. So you see on this one, we can have their future goals. We expanded the education, and again, we'll continue to drill that down. This is also on the individual level that you can put into those cumulative folders. The next one, you want to be able to export to Excel still. We heard that. So we want to keep that process down. So you'll be able to pull all of your students in that certain graduation class year that you want to pull. You'll be able to identify those students and see their information as a whole. You'll also be able to see that career development plan filtered by progress. So if you only want to see which students have chosen their school, have saved the educational goal, you'll be able to process that progress and filter down to their interests, that graduation year. And then you'll also be able to save groups. So you can be able to save the class of 2005 and pull that group up individually. If you wanted to work with just girls or just guys, you can filter that as well to build that and save a group. We're excited. We're adding in some elements to help you guys see the completion level by grades. You'll be able to hover over those and see a drilled down version. You'll be able to see the students who haven't completed, who have completed. And then as you hover over, this is how it would look, the first name, last name, and their completion. So you'll be able to see those names to be able to help your students. We are excited about this. We have truly been focused on individual levels because we've really just been working like school counselors. So building these career development plans, making sure that you have what you need. We also, on the next slide, we know that we are asking for district admins to come in. Now we are building out more of that group level so they can see schools as a whole. So we are working with students on the individual level, then we have information for school level, and now we're also building out for district level. And so this gives you a snapshot of how we envision that to look. And then we have one more. Oh, that was the last one. That was for that. If you want to know more about our rollout, it's coming soon. We're working out those details and finite. Please register for our newsletter. You can use our QR code, and I also have the link there to assist you in getting there. So we're listening. If you want to give us any advice or give us any feedback, we are open to that as well. You can email me at cfnc@northcarolina.edu, and I'll put it in the chat once we finish. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jamie and Constance. Those are exciting new updates coming. It's very exciting to see the reports and the mock-ups and know that people have some input. We truly appreciate that, and the field will be able to use that. Fantastic. So one other question, additional question for you before we go to our folks in the regions. What tips do you have for training school counselors, CDCs, and teachers so that they feel confident integrating these platforms and the new updates that are coming into in their instruction and programs?
Absolutely. Well, I'll go ahead and start if that's okay with Constance there. So first of all, I just want to make sure that you're aware that we are always available in terms of at NCcareers to help guide you, help answer your questions via email, and then via social media as other channels. Again, we have often Anshal Gupta and I. Anshal is she's been around for about 6 months, so she's another person that works on NCcareers. So we've almost doubled our capacity in terms of working with NCcareers and working in this. So we are almost always available via email. We could do a quick call to help answer questions and things like that. Again, and of course, if you're interested in maybe having us come and help with training opportunities or something at the district level, certainly kind of that train the trainer model is what we really kind of work on. But in absence of those, we also wanted to provide additional resources to help you better understand how to do these things. So we have created a step-by-step guide for career development plans, which really walks you through step-by-step on how to create a career development plan within NCcareers. Also gives you a little bit more insight in terms of how how the tools and why we're kind of collecting some of this information and how you can use it, helping your students kind of thinking moving forward. So that's a great tool that I'm super excited. We worked really hard on that over the last few months to pull that together. Right now, there is a PDF. If you go to the next slide, Amy, please. We have a frequently asked questions page on NCcareers as well. So again, if you go into the career development plan section there in the Plan My Career, you will see a link to access our career development plan. Our career development plan frequently asked questions section. And there at the very top is you can click and download the PDF of the step-by-step guide. We will make edits to the step-by-step guide moving forward. Again, all of those new features that I just talked about a few minutes ago, those exciting, great features moving forward, the course planner and things. Once those are launched in the site, we will actually edit and update the step-by-step guide to include all of those features within that. We just couldn't write it until we had it all finalized and published from there. So we're again really excited to have those features moving forward. But the point is that we're here to support you. Whether we're here to support you, questions in email, we do our best to respond to you as quickly as possible, or hopefully you can just access our frequently asked questions section or utilize the step-by-step guide. I think the goal is to make you aware and feel confident that we are here to continue to support you in terms of developing career development plans through NCcareers. Oh, yes, thank you. And then one last slide again, as Constance just showed her newsletter, and I had mentioned, so if you want to sign up for our newsletter, I know that the first one happened there at the very end of the summer. They're going to come out about every 2 months. Again, lots of tools, tips moving forward within the newsletter. So certainly would encourage you to sign up for our newsletter at nccareers.org/newsletter.
Wonderful.
And I'm sorry. And then I'm going to jump in for 2 quick seconds. In addition to what Jamie said, we're going to build a FAQ together. Again, we want to mimic the CDPs that Jamie and his team have worked so hard on so that it makes it seamless for you guys. So that's truly our goal, is to help make your life easier. The next thing, a tip that I want to make sure that I add for you guys. So in our middle schools, when your students create their profiles, or even if you do bulk upload, one amazing tip for you guys is to make sure that your students can have 2 or 3 connections. So if you know your student's feeder school, you can go ahead and have their middle school and their feeder school identified as school connections at CFNC.org in that profile. Have the students to go on their profile, identify your middle school, and then identify their feeder school. If they move and change schools, they can go right back into that profile and update that school connection. So just a little tip to help make your lives easier as your students transition to high school.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, great tips. Appreciate that. And we're looking forward to hearing more about the updates as they come to fruition with CFNC and the newsletters. Keisha, I wonder if we could get both of those in the chat for our participants. Yeah.
I put the step-by-step guide and the FAQ in the chat already.
Excellent. Thank you. You all know I can't see anything. Appreciate that. Okay, moving on to our district panelists. We've got some questions related to reflections. And for Newton, Conover, and Pender, what if we start this first one alphabetically? We go to Newton, Conover for question 1 first, and then hear from Pender for that. And then we switch it up for the other remaining questions, the order. So for question 1 for the districts, looking back at year 1, what's one key success that your district or organization achieved with the CDP, Career Development Plan, and how did you make it happen?
Hi, so I'm Leanne from Newton Conover. I'm the middle school CDC, and on this one, our CTE leadership team actually sat down during those work days before the school year started and really developed just a plan for the district. What was going to happen at the middle school, what was going to happen at the high school to achieve all the assessments and all the parts and pieces needed for this CDP. We looked at the guidance document that was sent out from DPI to make sure that we had all the required elements that were needed. At the middle school, I offered a PLC to all of our administration, counselors, teachers, to let them know about the law and all of the items that we would be working on for the CDPs this year. We made sure that a master calendar was made for all the dates and times that the CDP would be worked on in the middle school. At the high school is a little different. Matt works very closely with all of the teachers there, and he decided that the English classes would be classes that he would be pushing into, and developed a timetable to work on that in the high school to make sure that all the students were all the students were accessed, since they all have to take an English class.
Okay, thank you, Leanne. It sounds like district leadership was a huge impact, and then top down you did some work which modeled it for everybody. And Pender, can you add to that on how you have been doing that?
Michelle Simmons from Pender County here in the middle school CDC. And of course, we also have Mr. Bates and then Ms. Smith, who's a middle school counselor. So colleagues, if I don't cover everything, please jump in. I think one thing that we counted as a big success was that we were able to verify that 100% of our 8th graders had a CDP. And so that was obviously a goal, but in year one, we felt really pleased about that. And that happened as a result of support, district-wide support, especially from school administrations and collaboration with student services. It was, we had different point people doing different objectives and following a plan, much like Ms. Boggs said, planning out each objective, what grade level, what course was it going to go in. So being able to verify 100% of our 8th graders as a result of the collaboration across the district was something that we were really proud of.
That is definitely something to be proud of. I can't see if your partners want to contribute to that, but I'm going to, not hearing anything, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question. And Pender, if you could start with that. If you had to sum up your approach to year 2 in 3 words, what would that be and why?
Mr. Bates, Dominic Bates here. I'm the CTE director for Pender County Schools. Man, there's a couple of things that I could say, but one thing that I do want to, 3 words, raise CDP awareness. And I wish that, we started there from day one. And so, what is the CDP? And the reason I say raise CDP awareness is so that you can get that buy-in, because you want people to be engaged. You want them to say, wow, just like when I was seeing all of the new features to NCcareers and CFNC Pro Tools and the collaboration that's happening, I'm sitting here saying, wow. And that's what we want all of our other stakeholders and everyone who's going to be helping all of our students complete their CDPs. But if you raise CDP awareness, because I'm aware of the legislation and I know what's supposed to happen and how it happens and all of the benefits of creating a career development plan, I'm able to say, wow, because I understand what's coming and I understand the impact that it can make. So I hope that answered the question.
Yes, absolutely. What's in it for me? And I mean, wow, right? It is. It's wonderful. Raise awareness. You all did 100% 8th graders. So now we're going to repeat that in 8th grade and move up and prepare for. I'm thinking you're going to prepare for next year when your 10th graders get revised or revisited by legislation to go to 11th grade. What for Newton Conover do you have 3 words that would sum up your approach for year 2?
This is Matt Wilkinson. I'm the CDC here at Newton Conover High School. The 3 words that we would use, and Leanne kind of touched on this earlier, would be to plan. You need to sit down with your district leadership team and figure out what's going to be the best plan of action, because it's going to be different from district to district and school to school. So you need to figure out what works best for you. Implement, make sure that you're touching the bases of the things that are required in the legislation. Make sure that you look over that and that you're covering all of those various aspects. It's very easy through NCcareers to get kids in there and make sure that that you are following that particular approach and that you are including the various aspects that are in the legislation. And then at the end of the year, evaluate what worked and what you need to change. We sat down and figured out what worked for us last year. We've tweaked just a few things. We're excited about the course planner coming out this year and how that will help our students. And the other thing that I would say, like one of the things that we had touched base with each other, we would suggest the batch loading. Batch loading those students is a lifesaver. If you try to do them individually, it takes a ton of time. So I think we'll probably cover that later on in the questions. But evaluate once you get through this year and see what worked and see what doesn't work.
Okay, so plan, implement, evaluate. And I heard a slash there, evaluate, Matt, reflect. And CDCs and school counselors are standard. The evaluation for both standard 5 is reflecting on the practice. And we do that in CTE and everything in education. Continue to make it better and evaluate. You do that with your data, which we'll get onto as well. Plan, implement, and evaluate. Thank you. And raising awareness while you're doing that. Going on to Newton Conover again. So moving on with best practices, what specific strategies or routines have you found most effective in embedding career development plan activities to meet the CDP legislation? And what have you done that you found most effective?
So in the middle school, I will say we have a time called RDT. I think a lot of schools call that WIN. It's a 35-minute block daily that is within our school. So we have dedicated time. There's no testing during that time. There's no field trips during that time. It is dedicated. And honestly, it worked wonderfully to be able to pick the dates, make sure all the students in 8th grade were present and utilize RDT time, which is 35 minutes, to work on some of these assessments for the CDP. The lessons were pushed out by me prior to that RDT time. So all the teachers in the classrooms that had all of the 8th grade students had all of the lessons that were ready up on the screens for the students to follow the instructions on how to get to which assessment they were doing for that date. Then at the high school, Matt was able to actually meet with his teachers and determined that his English classes were the ones that he needed to to pull the students from, utilizing that 90-minute block period to be able to complete those CDPs. Worked out well in our district.
Yeah, wonderful. Really modeling the school-wide, right? That it wasn't just one department or person. You hit all the pieces during the RDT. Some people call it WIN, some people call it a smart time, and often have that. It's a great use of that. Thank you. Pender, how about you? What strategies or routines have you found most effective in embedding the CDP activities to meet legislation?
We took a really cooperative approach with our social studies team in 8th grade, with our middle school CDC, and we found that going through our social studies classes was a great way to make it tier 1 core instruction for all of our 8th graders, not just for our motivated students or our students signed up for CTE classes. And it gives us a nice long, hour-long chunk of time if we need it to jump into all of these activities and make sure students have their plan in place moving forward. And it also gives our teachers an awareness of what students are working on and how they can best support in the classroom. And we chose social studies, obviously because they have some of these concepts in their classes, but also because it, just practically speaking, it's not one of our tested subjects, and so they have a lot more flexibility during the pacing guide.
Christine, that is unique. If I could add on to that, that's extremely unique. Going into one of the core classes in 8th grade social studies, how was that communicated, received initially, that this is what we're going to do? If you can share a little bit about that, or anyone else on your Pender team?
Sure. So Michelle Simmons, who's our rock star middle school CDC, working with all of our area schools. She works with the counselors to find the group of teachers that are willing, and it's traditionally been our social studies teachers. And, you know, it's definitely been a permission structure to working with our administrators and with teachers who are willing. So if they are not, they feel that they don't have space in their instructional program to fit these classes, obviously we work with them on that. But generally we have had a lot of great cooperation from teachers. That would be one of my words for year two's cooperation, being flexible and streamlining the process. And over the last, we're in our 5th year now of implementing CDP activities, even if, you know, the law is new. And so we've been working with these same teachers over the past few years to really build up a good program.
Okay, so that's a little insight we hadn't heard already. So you all have been doing this or organically or naturally behind the scenes for a few years, and you've been built on it. That's important for folks to hear that, hey, this doesn't happen right away, right? It sounded like you did some bits and pieces early on, and then when legislation came, it was full force. Am I hearing that correctly? Or did I miss something?
Nope, that's correct. Yep, we were already working on 4-year plans with our 8th graders. We were working to select electives for high school and talking about learning styles and things like that through our major clarity activities. So Ms. Simmons was already working with all of our 8th graders across the district starting 4 years ago.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to move on to our question 2 for best practices, and this starts with Pender as well. Can you share an example of a stakeholder partnership, whether it's with school counselors, teachers, parents, community partners, or community partners that have boosted your CDP implementation?
Michelle Simmons again, I can start with this, and then it may be that, you know, Mr. Bates or Ms. Smith has a different example. What I think of, it would be how instrumental it's been working with student services from the beginning with this. And we even, you know, as we talk about, for example, going in through social studies, we've had schools that specifically ask, for example, for 7th grade that we go through 7th grade science, just because that was what the teaching team requested, right? But in terms of stakeholders, just really working with student services to deliver the components. Obviously, you have a set list of things that you're going to do, but you can sometimes adjust a little bit to accommodate what it needs to look like in a building. And the counselors and then the teachers that are going to be, we call it hosting, right? They're going to be hosting the activity, that they have some input as well. For example, when we get ready to do a particular component in, say, 8th grade social studies, we actually send out a sign-up sheet, right? And so the teachers have some latitude, and that might contribute toward the support that we've had even in the classroom. So they actually can give some feedback about what's going to work best in terms of delivering interest inventories or whatever it might be, based on what they're doing at that time. Where is it going to fit logically so that it's not a disruption, right? And so the stakeholder partnership is going to be that guidance, and then the teaching teams as well that are hosting for us.
Mm-hmm. Before anyone else from Pender adds on, Michelle, if I could, or maybe they will add to this, how have you're pulling out the wonderful partnership that you all have with school counselors, student services. How have you fostered that or built that? What does that look like? Communication, meetings, teamwork. How is that formalized, where then it clearly becomes an informal team? But how does that become formalized?
Well, for my perspective on that, you know, Ms. Smith mentioned that we actually had started a career development plan program when my position came to be, you know, with the foresight of our district, right? So this is the start of my 4th year. And in a way, you'll understand this, it kind of looked like going to the individual schools and talking with the counselors and talking to administration and saying, hey, we have a person who can do these specific things that add value to our students. And I can take that. I can take that off of you. So Ms. Smith serves at a really large middle school and has quite a course load. She's still super, super integrated in her, with her students and in the classrooms. But I can come in and do things, right, as opposed to just putting something else on her plate. And so that's how those discussions, I think, really started. And then they've actually evolved over time to be, Ms. Smith has a real, she's really interested in having those discussions with students about values, right? So now she personally will lead the discussions at her school about values that we're going to tie into the CDP. So it really, I think, goes with going into a school and talking about how we can serve the value, again, the education that Mr. Bates was talking about. This is not just a checklist that comes down as a result of legislation. These are good things that will make a difference for our students if we do them with fidelity. And so really focusing on the value and how we can bring that to our students together.
Okay. I love that. That certainly models, and it's gotten richer over the past few years. Mr. Bates.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Bates.
I just can't stress enough how the collaboration just between all stakeholders is so important. Get in, ask the question. If we don't know something, we reach out to the experts. Miss Simmons and Miss Smith, they're both amazing. I'll just say that. But the collaboration, like our 4-year plan day, whenever we go into those social studies classes, there's Miss Smith is there, Miss Simmons is there, but also the high school student services team is there. CDCs are there. Sometimes CTE students are there to talk about their programs. The early college and our CCP folks sometimes come in and talk about those programs because we want to give them the whole picture of what's to come. And so that's a lot of stakeholders that are included, that need to be included to help with that process. One major stakeholder that we discovered last year was our EC department, right? Because some of these career development plan components are embedded into some of our students' IEP goals. And so when we look at these goals, and when students are transitioning from middle school to high school, then some of these components can be checked off. And even I love the step-by-step guide. And so if we can take that step-by-step guide and give it to some of our case managers and say, hey, what do you think? Everybody loves little Johnny, so I'm just gonna say little Johnny. What do you think little Johnny can do? Which of his goals is embedded in some of these components? And so that's been a huge discovery for us. And then last but not least, please reach out to your external experts like Amy, Jamie, Keisha, and Constance. That's huge. We talk about value, the value that they can bring, because they're aware the value that they can bring to what you can do is insurmountable. They are very helpful. So please don't forget about, and don't be afraid to reach out to Amy, Jamie, Keisha, and Constance, who are on this call, because they will help you. They came to Pender County and they helped us. And we still reach out to them for when we have questions. And so just go ahead and form that partnership as well.
Thank you, Mr. Bates, Dominique. I appreciate that. To wrap up the Pender perspective, some key points that I heard that I can't help but reiterate is the teamwork of going in and speaking to folks and making sure that the win-win was there, how we're going to be making a difference for all students, the value add, and the service to each other to help the load of this work in preparing students for their future, whether it's enlist, enroll, or employ through that CDP, and coaching and one-on-one for all educators. Exciting to hear all this, and appreciate the promotion of working together as a key emphasis. For Newton Conover, can you give us an example of some stakeholder partnerships that you've had locally that have helped boost the CDP implementation?
Absolutely. Excuse me. So during our RDT time at the middle school, it is a dedicated time already on that master calendar, and everyone is involved that has any what's the word I'm looking for, that partners with an 8th grade student. So we have our 8th grade teachers. Obviously, I'm there, this is the CDC. Our elective teachers are involved in this, all of our TAs, our EC department, our ESL department, our counselors, and our administration. We are all on the 8th grade hall simultaneously during the RDT time to assist with any and all students within 8th grade in order to complete these CDPs.
Okay, school-wide. I like to call that, I'm a basketball nut, so I say, oh, that is full court press. Everybody's on deck, no matter what position, and we are all going after the ball, which is helping that student. That's wonderful. Where those students are looking around and they see it's not just one person, it's everyone visually. Thank you.
And
yep,
from a
Matt?
high school perspective here at Newton Conover, we're similar to Pender. We're now going on probably year 6 or 7 of actually doing these CDPs. We had a homemade CDP created in Google Forms. So whenever this new legislation came about, it was just kind of a seamless transition for us. We went to the counselors. Counselors were good with us kind of taking it and running with it. And kind of some background, what we have done, and I've seen it kind of mentioned through the chat here, is we sat down with all students from 9th through 11th grade during 2 weeks before they registered for courses. Sat down, talked about career goals, kind of did essentially our homemade CDP with them at this time, and then talked about electives that they might be interested in taking, whether it be CTE courses, whether it be just overall electives like band or PE or weight training, or offered and talked to them about the CCP offerings through our partners through Catawba Valley Community College. So again, it was kind of a natural transition for us to kind of take the ball and run with it. And like Leanne had mentioned, I do it through English classes both semesters, because I know that touches every kid. I take them for somewhere between 3 to 4 days, where I have them over that time period. And we do it from 9th through 12th grades so that they have everything. We kind of finalize it in the 12th grade. We also do a resume workshop with them over the course of this with their senior English classes, and bring in mock interviews from outside sources to kind of finalize their career development plan over the course of their 4 years. But again, the big thing is, and Pender's touched on it, you've got to figure out your partnerships and get everyone involved. You can't do it by yourself. And it's going to be different in every single district. It's going to be different in every single school, because you've got different stakeholders and different people involved. So again, I think it sounds like that both us and Pender, we've been doing this for several years now, prior to even the legislation. So you're going to have some bumps and bruises, but you'll figure out what works for you. And we're here to help answer any questions.
Thank you, Matt. I do appreciate sharing the history there, and you're continually reflecting and improving the process, right? From Google, and now you're using some more NCcareers, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank
you.
Yes.
Yes.
We started with Google Forms, and then we used Major Clarity, and now we have transitioned to solely NCcareers. Excellent.
You're reflecting on the tools and the practices, and you've been doing it for a while organically. I truly appreciate the going into the English class. Pender goes into social studies in the 8th grade, and and you're working with those English classes, which makes sense because every student has to have it. And again, they'll see that it's not just one position, whether whoever it is, but it's everyone. Thank you for sharing that. And so as we go into the last series of questions, we have preparing for year 2. And I'm going to combine the question that we've got. Well, how are you using your data? Newton Conover, how are you using data from year 1 to make decisions, reflect, adjust, and set new priorities for year 2?
Matt, I wasn't sure if you wanted to chime in on that one or not, but we are using some of this data to start looking at field trip opportunities or internships based off of the students' information that they're inputting into these CDPs, so that we can bring in things that these students actually are truly interested in.
So we will be done with whatever's happening and how.
Yes, I'll add just a little bit to that. That's been one of the big things, and that's also why we're excited about the new reports, hopefully, that we're going to be able to run through NCcareers this year. But the big thing is it really allows
I'm sorry,
you
Matt,
to.
Matt, can I interrupt you? Could we
Yes.
have that mic muted? Someone's got their mic on. We could have that. Thank you. Go ahead, Matt. My apologies.
Oh, you're fine. But like Leanne said, field trips, internship opportunities. I used it last year with apprenticeship opportunities to really be able to identify a specific group of students. And then also another huge thing that we use it with is we started a CCP electrical program here at the high school and helping identifying those students.
Okay. You're using the data to inform the programs. Wonderful. I don't know that our legislators thought of that as an addition from organic growth, but that's perfect. How do we inform what we need, find out what our students are interested in? How about Pender? How are you using data from year 1 to make decisions to adjust what you're working on and priorities going into year 2?
I have part of an answer. One thing, my major focus really has been evaluating the program. So looking back at, for example, and this may come into people, the next question just a little bit as well, in terms of looking at your program. So we tried, with it being 8th grade, this past year, 8th grade being sort of that pivot point, that hard line, right? We kind of threw everything that we could fit into middle school. And now we've had the chance, as the legislation rolls up to high school, so to speak, and the high school programs are developing and high schools are planning what they're going to do in which grades and how they're going to deliver it. We've been able to back up and use data really to target. So we tried to do everything we could in middle last year, but now we're looking back and we're seeing which things worked, which things make sense to support what's going to be done in high school. And we've actually scaled back some of the middle school pieces because we learned that some things aren't developmentally appropriate for 6th grade. And the results of the data, right? The results of the data show us that didn't add as much value as we would want. And then we could look at other things and say, this was right on. This is how we verified that 100% of our 8th graders had begun their plan. It made sense. It fed into registration, which is something that I saw in the chat as well. If you can put some of your activities, we bill some of our stuff as sort of pre-registration. We're going to the students saying, this is part of your registration, right? And that gives them some context to value it as well. And so that was really one of the main pieces that I had looking back at data.
I appreciate that. As you're saying that, you're incorporating it as a priority or a prereq for registration. That is modeling for students, right? You use the data. You don't make decisions moving forward until you see the data and reflect on it. And that's just a life skill that will take them so much into the future. We have one more question and we're running close to time, so I'm going to adjust this before we open up to everybody. In 3 words, Pender and then Newton Conover, 3 words, let's just like we did before. What advice would you give to districts who are struggling? 3 words, maybe 4. If you want to reset and energize, what are 3 or 4 words that you can give the field and everyone listening?
That's hard, Amy.
Yes.
You have so many words.
I know.
I would say just focus on the legislation. It's not we're not without checking the box though. Focus on the legislation. You don't have to do it all in one. Okay. We actually have a gap year because it's the legislation focuses on cohorts. All right. And so last year was our focus on that 8th grade cohort. And then they'll be rolling up to 10th grade 2 years from now. So this year you have the opportunity to maybe practice some things and figure some things out for that cohort of students. You still have that 8th grade, this 8th grade student of this year's cohort that's going to be moving up to 9th grade, but you do have a gap year for that high school before it is for that high school cohort, the 9th graders this year, before it is actually required and mandated by the legislation.
Thank you.
Don't try to do it all at once. Just take your time.
I'm hearing simplify, focus on the cohorts and the legislation. And definitely, you said early on there, it's not just a checklist. You know, we're gonna do this right. How about Newton Conover? A few words.
So how about this? Let's see. Plan, organize, and batch upload.
Yes, yes. We did hear plan consistently, organize, and batch load. There's also collaborate in there that you all have mentioned there throughout your answers and responses consistently. Good advice, make it easy, and work together. I would like to open up this time to any Q questions that haven't put in the chat. You can put them in the chat. We also do have a follow-up form that I'll put on the next slide with a QR code if you'd like to send in questions to the panelists and or Keisha and me afterwards. But this is the time for any specific questions in the chat for our panelists. CFNC, NCcareers, District. Keisha, I'll lean into you if you see any.
No questions so far.
Okay. As you're thinking, CFNC always has webinars and information and shares, so they'll be doing that in future months. Jamie Vaughn with NCcareers and Jamie and Anshel now are putting on a webinar Friday, September 26th. That's next Friday, with some more dedicated time on the updates. And that information has been put out on the school counseling newsletter, and it's in the CDC Moodle as well. Anything in the chat, Keisha?
Nope.
Okay.
There is a question now. With the NC EdCloud link, do we still need to do batch loading for account creation? Excuse me.
So I'll take that, Constance, if you want to add on. I'll talk from my end. So students will need a CFNC account for the EdCloud to log into. As I mentioned, the key between CFNC accounts and EdCloud login will be their student ID information. So Constance, let me talk to you. I just wanted to make sure that was clear that every student, and this is for it to order to result for that information to go into Pro Tools from there. So Constance, let me let you talk a little bit about batch loading, if you don't mind.
So we're in the initial talks about this, and that's one of the things we need to make sure. So that'll be on our FAQ as we build it out, and we'll be able to have more information as he said, we are in that beta testing, but we'll be able to have more information if that is still necessary.
Thank you both. So here is a QR code and a bit.ly. If you'd like to send in specific questions and follow up, you can take a photo of that. And of course, Keisha and I are always available and responsive to any emails. But if you send a follow-up form question here to our presenters, we can surely get it to them specifically. I'm going, since we're running short, I'm going to keep that on for just about 5 more seconds because I know that you might need time to take a photo of that. And we do want to give you the session evaluation. Here is the session evaluation form. Thank you to our panelists, to Pender, to Mr. Bates, Michelle Simmons, Mr. Bates, CT Director, Michelle Simmons, Middle Grade CDC, and Christine Smith, Middle Grade School Counselor. Thank you so much for sharing here and being open to any questions that come to you. And Newton Conover, to our Middle School CDC, Leanne Boggs, and Matt Wilkinson from the high school, as well as Jamie Vaughn from NCcareers and Dr. Constance Hollins-Pierce from CFNC and UNC Pathways. If you would please take this survey, fill it out for us. Thank you for staying on a few more minutes. And our next session for CT Lunch and Learn is next month, October 14th, and that will speak to CDPs and some of the EC that Mr. Bates mentioned, our EC students. It's specifically CDP, Career Development Plan, supporting special POPs, multilingual learners or ML, and exceptional children EC, including our occupational course of study students. So that is October 14th. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for filling out the survey and your questions. And I'm giving a virtual round of applause. I hope you are as well, to our guest panelists. And Keisha, I'll let you wrap it up with a final goodbye.
Thank you all for attending. As you can hear, we are better together. So all hands on deck. And thank you to Newton Conover. Thank you to NCcareers. Thank you to CFNC. Thank you to Pender County for sharing out your best practices for a positive and impactful year 2. Hope everyone has a wonderful week and a great school year. I'm going to stop recording.
Wonderful. Okay, so I've stopped the camera as well. We do see some people still here. Thank you, everybody. If anybody's still here and has some